Hello there, everyone. Sorry about that little mishap just before. We had to abort the mission.
We're flexible.
We're flexible. Do whatever it takes to get on live. It wasn't streaming to our biggest channel, so Anyway, we're just starting again. So welcome everyone to the CIA's Equinox update, a celebration of International Astrology Day. And of course, the Aries Ingress, when the sun moves over the equator to go back to the northern hemisphere after we've been loving it so much down here in the south. So I'm Julija, Simas, Agent 12 from Melbourne, Australia, and I have with me today the wonderful Agent 56, Cassandra Butler, on the other side.
Right.
Well, not the other side.
We're definitely embracing the light.
Yes, that's
the
right.
Northern Hemisphere.
You guys need some light back now as we've gathered the seeds that have come from the harvest of summer. Of course, we're moving into autumn, even though it's the Aries Ingress for everybody. The South does experience the different season of an Aries Ingress, but it's still very suitable in a way as we celebrate the sun. And the wonderful thing about these turning points of the year, like the solstices and the equinoxes, the four main points of the sun's journey during the year, is that they tell us so much about the season to come. When we look at the astrology chart of the Aries Ingress, which we will do, we will look at some eclipse charts that are coming up through the year and a few other really interesting bits and pieces. Well, as much as we can have time for today. So I think many of you know Cassandra because she does a weekly report for us, on the spiritual messages that come for the week ahead, and you have a lot of great fans following you now for that session, which is great to see.
I've been so much enjoying this, Julija. It's been great to talk to people from all over, all the CIA agents, and people who are learning astrology, people who've been doing astrology forever, like we have. The idea, and it's so appropriate, right? Because we're countdown to the Jupiter Neptune conjunction. I've really explored the more intuitive, mediumistic parts of our brains for many years. And as you look at the beautiful sunflower, it reminds me just south of where I am right now is the worldwide center of spiritualism, where I received a lot of my training in mediumship. That's called Lilydale. So you think they have lilies as their logo, but no, it's the sunflower.
It's the sunflower. Yeah, well, I mean, the sun represents spirit at its ultimate sort of expression, doesn't it? So the sunflower is that representation of the sun, because when you look at it closely too, I've got the sunflower there not only because it's the national flower of the Ukraine, but a great symbol of the sun at this time of the movement to the north, but also I went sunflower picking over the weekend because I found out about it. I thought, wouldn't that be a beautiful thing to do, to go through a field of sunflowers at this time of the year when the sunflowers, some of them are as big as my head, are so big and heavy and droopy with the potential of the seeds that are in there. So the flowering's just about over. And they've collected, through their season, made the seeds, which is, of course, what takes you through this, through the winter and autumn months, the seeds of something. And so, therefore, now that we've got the seeds, you guys can have the sun back.
I think it's a wonderful cycle. As the flowers flower, we have create the seeds, and at the equinox we have the 50-50. Nature tells us time to balance too, right? So we're moving from this part of the world, we're gaining light, and then we hit the summer solstice, and then goodbye. So it's we love those four cardinal points, and they're like the foundation of astrology, and the foundation of all of us is reflected by nature.
Absolutely, that's right. And Yeah, so it's a really good way to follow the season by looking at the astrology of the time that the sun moves into the Aries ingress. Now, traditionally, of course, astrologers would look for the Aries ingress for a particular place, like for the capital of, Australia, Canberra, or for the capital of the USA would be Washington, or the capital of Ukraine, which would be Kiev. So, we're going to look at it as a more of a general thing. You can go and study your own country's chart, like from what we will put together. But the CIA have been doing these reports for the ingresses for, gosh, I don't know, 12 years or something. So, so we're happy to, very happy to continue with that. Of course, there's so much more of that now. Everybody's doing it.
Right.
Kind of cool. Which means like it's like the weather report or the town crier, like what's ahead for all of us. And I always said it'd be great to have someone in every city, telling about what's going to happen in a particular city or town, for astrologically for an ingress. We get snippets of some of the capitals, various astrologers writing about certain things, but anyway, that's just maybe in the future there'll even be more of
Absolutely. Seed planting, Julia. You've done a lot of that in your career.
That's right. Yes.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to hoard the seeds now over the winter stock, and you guys can have the sun back. But let me just share my screen here. So so we've picked the sunflower today as the beautiful symbol for bringing light and love to the people of Ukraine in a war that is really beyond them, determined by others much more powerful about what's going on there and so on. So we're sending love and light to everyone going through particularly hard times in the Ukraine. But also just recently in Australia, we've had the horrendous floods, the worst floods ever seen on the east coast of Australia and northern New South Wales and southern Queensland. Floods that would happen in that area, over the years, centuries, would kind of go up to, halfway up a house. These went over the roof.
Oh my gosh.
The whole like Lismore is completely annihilated. So do send, if you've got extra, funds or what have you to these places, and be very careful where you will be sending the money, because there's just so much fraud around as well.
I know. There's so much
the
pain.
Neptune Jupiter sort of cycle that is just like opportunistic from others suffering.
Right.
Again, even big places that you donate to. I remember during the fires in Australia, it was almost like, I don't know, it wasn't the Red Cross, I think the Salvation Army or something. They collected, millions of dollars, but only released about 10% of what they collected and said, we're keeping it for a rainy day.
It's very rainy right there, right
now. And all that sort of thing. So just be really careful who you donate to. That's all I want to say. Yes. So let's have a look at the Aries ingress chart. So of course, this is just what we call a zero Aries chart. So it's not for a particular place. If it was for the UK, we'd see the ascendant in a different place and so on. So hopefully you all have been learning somewhat over the years how to, let's say, read a chart. So it is the birth chart of the year. Yeah. And of course, we look at it every quarter, but it's like the king of the year chart anyway, isn't it? It's like
it's a brand new year, and this carries with us until the next.
Yes. So of course, the first, things that, stand out are, of course, the sun at zero Aries, Neptune's in with vicinity of it. Neptune will be getting closer to the ingress, like to square the ingress points as it moves through Pisces. So it will be, of course, getting closer over the next few years for the Aries ingress, right? So it's almost like it's not even the start of what Neptune's going to be doing over the few years, I think. The next thing we look at, of course, is then we look at the ruler, and where of Aries, which is Mars, and Mars is in Aquarius, conjunct to Venus. Still, they've been traveling together for a long time and squaring Uranus. So, and then Venus is the ruler of the moon. So we've got Venus and Mars squaring Uranus as the rulers of the luminaries, but also the nodes.
Right.
So, the Venus Mars that we can be looking at over the last few months as they've traveled, very closely together for a long time this year. It's just really the war and peace of it all, isn't it? Like
The war and peace and the struggle of the Aquarius, the people. And of course, we've got the thing that just pops up to me was the Pluto squaring the moon. We still have those Pluto figures in control of the people
of the
planet.
people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the Pluto, the moon squaring Pluto, bringing in that sort of undercurrent of, it's extremely kind of dangerous out there, but
Mm-hmm.
also that we, like, when Pluto's involved, the powers that be, of course, coming to mind, but also what's behind it all? What's what's really behind it all? Can any of us really say we know everything for sure?
No.
About the truth, the truth of it all. So we will always have to be wary of going, there's more to the story than we can see.
Yeah, I think Pluto is the Titanic, right? Or the iceberg planet. There's so much beneath the surface. We're just
so much beneath. Yeah. I mean, Neptune's also very much, the two of them are very much about, Neptune's more about the deception and lies and again, not seeing clearly.
Mm-hmm.
And Neptune, of course, we're awaiting the Jupiter coming to, can you see my pointer here? I'm just, no, can you see it? It's only on my screen. Okay, I'm not sure how to do that now on here. Anyway, so Jupiter's coming closer to Neptune, and we'll look at that chart in a moment. So, one other thing that really stands out for me here strongly is the moon at the end of Libra. At it's like 7 minutes away from turning signs.
Mm-hmm.
It really indicates more, let's say, uncertainty and chaos when we think of a planet about to change, don't we?
Absolutely. It's that cardinal point. It's a very unstable moon, basically.
Unstable moon, that's the word. Yes.
Yeah, and what other catches my eye is that the moon is forming a yod with Neptune in the North Node, so you can see that, that in conjunct feeling. We have to make changes. It's irreconcilable, but we have to make some changes for the people, for the moon in Libra. It's very uncomfortable.
The other thing that this moon is showing, and I'll show the chart, is that Venus makes, Venus was retrograde to start the year. It started conjunct Pluto. And, it's sort of, it was always going to be a very hairy, like looking at that signature, what is that seed going to be all about? Because the retrograde is not just for those 40 days and 40 nights. It will have its impact like an eclipse. I always see Venus Sun conjunctions like eclipse points that happen every 9.5 months, but ruled by Venus. So the next point will be the outer conjunction, and it's at 29 degrees of Libra. And it's the first point that we will have after 100 years that happens in Libra. So this is really quite significant. And looking into 2022, I always thought this is going to be a very, changeable year. Not just, also for the reasons that we've talked about, but a lot of power shifts. So what we're seeing now, we can expect them to be quite different in 6 months' time. Okay, because the Libra equinox is just before this, of course. Before the next star point, it's not going to stay the way it is. I think there's just so much more developments and power shifts to come.
Power shift is a great word for that. And the other thing that catches my eye is Black Moon Lilith conjunct Ceres in Gemini, the distribution of Ceres of food. Even what's going on in the Ukraine and in that part of Russia, as well as the bread baskets. So how is this going to impact all of us in the dissemination of grain, of food, of Ceres?
It's
Mhm.
almost like can't we just go back to the more important things, like, that, like food and grain, feeding the people, like, seriously.
Yeah.
The seeds are important. That's Ceres, isn't it? And
Yeah.
she stops the flowering when things aren't right, right?
Exactly. She gets so grief stricken, she just shuts everything down and we go into
Yeah.
winter.
It's
Mhm.
like there's no flowers. If there's no flowers, there's no seeds. There's no, there's no grain
Mhm.
to make things. So we need Ceres to come back to the flowering.
Yes.
Gosh, again, there's many astrologers talked about, the war and, what's going on and all kinds of things. I don't really want to sort of focus on that. But again, let's just move on. Anything else in that? I mean, again, there's the chart is telling us, I think mostly because of the moon,
Yes.
that we and the squares from the rulers, as I talked about, to Uranus, and then we have Saturn squaring the nodes. Now that's
Mhm.
a big one. That's of course going to become much more effective in the next few weeks when Mars joins Saturn
Right. Right.
exactly square the nodes, and that's at the 5th of April.
April.
Now, how do you see that? That's before the Jupiter Neptune conjunction. How do you see that changing the dynamic of what's going
Right.
through?
I mean, there's finally taking some action once and for all. Let's get a handle on this. I'm kind of a Pollyanna. I don't go to, Mars attacks. It's like Mars is more the energizer bunny, and it's going
Yeah,
to really, push up against the absurdity of horror of war, not just the war, but other things that are going on the planet.
yeah,
There's this real creative tension, I think, that people are, since 2 years, are beginning to question the Plutos,
yeah.
and I think there's going to be more of that. Give us transparency. Let's push the narrative to something
Yeah.
real.
Well, I was thinking about that, Mars coming up to Saturn, it's like, a lot of astrologers say it's like the brakes come on. There's a
Hmm.
stop to something that's been going quite wild.
Yeah.
So this is a good sign, good indicator that some parts of the war going on will be halted somehow. Not
I,
sure how, whatever,
right.
can be really sort of stopped in their tracks. So let's
Yes.
hope that that is a signature of that. Again,
Exactly.
Mars and Saturn together is a frustration. It's again putting the brakes on and putting a stop to something. So again, let's send our energy and intentions, and that is
Absolutely.
April the 5th,
Right.
for those two to come together. And again, squaring the nodes. So again, very pivotal conjunction happening. When they're squaring the nodes, it's like again the tides have changed, right?
Those nodes are so amazing for mundane astrological prediction. They really are. I mean, the nodes are a collective point which shows us new patterns, new
Yeah,
pathways to take. So
yeah,
yes, that
yeah.
tension on the north and south nodes are very
Yeah,
important.
and of course the North Node being in Taurus, again, all those issues, and again Uranus is in Taurus as well, that keep being brought up about supply, food supply, toilet paper supply, that people
Exactly.
tend to get very worried about.
Mhm.
Just distribution. I mean, we've had that convoy in Canada and the convoys in Australia.
Mhm.
So these kind of really really big signatures of the distribution of food and
Mhm.
energy and so on. And of course, now we've got the oil prices, inflation going
Mhm.
crazy. That's also a very much a Jupiter Neptune signature that sort of works like clockwork every 13 years.
Yes.
If you read Olga Morales's article or graphs, or see her graphs in our latest Time Lords magazine. If you haven't seen it, make sure you go to the website
Mhm.
and have a look through that. Great information in there. So here we are. We've got a Jupiter Neptune cycle coming through, and inflation sort of really sort of coming to the forefront. The last time Jupiter and Neptune met it was in Aquarius.
Right.
And the global financial crisis happened. Okay, so you can look back at that cycle, and it's amazing what other things have been going on, during that time as well. And talking about that, we're going to be doing a online cosmic renaissance on the whole Jupiter Neptune cycle. I will be doing class on that. It starts on the 30th of March. And then have the fabulous Cassandra doing a psychic tuning for us on the weekend, with Patricia Walsh also connecting us to our own narrative about the Jupiter-Neptune cycle. Sol Jonasson is going to do a session on dreams. And the wonderful Ursula Stockter from Mexico has put together an amazing topic of the art. She's an artist astrologer, so the art of the tarot through symbol and our astrology charts. So it's just a really magnificent program. Cosmic Renaissance, check it out. You don't want to miss it. I'm really excited about that, because actually yesterday we were also talking about, so what are we going to do on the Jupiter Neptune day? I know it's not about the exact conjunction that happens on the 12th of April in the US, 13th of April here. It's not about exact, but it is a beautiful time to maybe, really send some strong messages. I think we have to work out an intention event, right?
Yes.
Where we can just, get everyone and write in a sense a program. Come. I don't think we have to be online, but we can think about it a bit more if anyone's got any great ideas.
Right.
But with some sound healing, with, like you can really sort of, it's such a powerful time, I think, to really cleanse ourselves, our aura through sound and vibration, and seed like a really fresh, new, fertile sort of sense of ourselves.
Absolutely. Because it's in Pisces. It hasn't been in Pisces and since 1856. And if you think about the essence of universal water,
yes,
that's the element that connects all of us through the heart and through the soul. So hopefully this is a renaissance with all of the Piscean qualities, the highest and best of Pisces, right? The compassion, that we are all connected, and the universality of helping each other at its core. That's the Pisces signature to me. And I'm just so beyond excited about.
And that's, again, like what's going on in the world at the moment. Everyone's suffering somehow. Of course, not as much as, the people on the ground, but, it's affecting everybody. And it's affecting all of us. So it's such a big signature that it can be so effective if we all put our intentions together. Like we've been following the world of intentions and astrology with our own personal lives. Again, the collective sort of resonance that can happen at this powerful time. I think we all kind of have to work on doing something together at that time.
Yes, absolutely.
So anyway, keep an eye on things for that here. I think that this is the chart now for the exact Jupiter Neptune conjunction, and look where the moon is, 0 Virgo. So 0 Virgo, it's the CIA sun, so we always love that, but it's also the place in the sky that the star Regulus has moved to.
Yes.
Okay. Back in 2012, of course, it's such a big cycle of fixed stars moving through signs or moving through the zodiac. But so Regulus is the star of kings, or the kingmaker. And back in 2012, we talked a lot or wrote about that the star moving to Regulus is very much more about service to the planet than service to the rich, right? Or service to the kings, those who rule the world. So again, we have another really big signature of like the moon at 29 Libra, now the moon at 0 Virgo, of the shift in dynamics of, really what's more important. We've got a climate crisis going on, and here we still can't figure out, that war is just not the way to, of the future, let's say. And more people are getting tuned into that. So we need to keep that up. We need to keep that up big time.
Exactly. It's so obsolete. There's
It's
no, it's just obsolete in this day and age when we have the weapons of total
mass destruction. Yeah, of total destruction, yeah,
right?
and annihilation.
Mhm.
And you know, the chemical warfare that is threatened and so on. This is those, it's like it's almost like, you know, Pluto will move into Aquarius next February for a few months and then go out again. So it's these dying sort of gasps of Pluto in Capricorn holding on to, let's say, the that kind of world when we have a bigger dream, an Aquarian dream of how everyone can live together. There's plenty of resources on the planet for everybody.
Exactly.
It's the way it's distributed that is the issue of the Capricornian system, or the way the Capricornian system has developed over the centuries. So, you know, again, we can't give up that spirit that we are working collectively towards something that is not that.
And back right now to the equinox, this is a fantastic time because it's Aries ingress. Aries, the fire sign, really connects with our visual centers. I mean, Aries is the ultimate visualization energy because it's instinctual and it's real.
Yeah.
And, you know, in fact, back to the Jupiter Neptune Renaissance, the cosmic Renaissance, when I'm going to be doing my psychic attunement and sharing and facilitating with you all, I'm going to show you how in your chart you may be more of a visualizer or a feeler or a clairsentient. So there's some techniques we can actually practice during those sessions. One more thing, we could talk all day, but you know, the the 1 degree Virgo of that wonderful chart is the Sabian symbol. In a portrait, the significant features of a man's head are artistically emphasized. It means discrimination. So we, the people, can discriminate against what we do or do not want as we go into this new era.
Yeah. Well, again, you know, the more of us that do that, you know, this is, again, we've still got a long way to go. You know, there's still a long way to go. The world will be a different place by the time Pluto's been through Aquarius. But that's a big cycle that ends in 2040. So starting, you know, next year. Anyway, there's a lot. This is the beautiful cosmic renaissance we've put together. So really, if you're interested in, let's say, just kind of tuning yourself and making the most and bettering yourself and your understanding and confidence in your world and your astrology, you want to join us for this. And I think it's such a beautiful session. We're really looking forward to presenting it to you. So anyway, just sort of a bit of a backtrack there. But let's just go back through the slides I've put together. So I don't want to harp on this, but if we look at, hang on, so this is the Aries Ingress chart. We've talked about that somewhat. And I just want to sort of point out a few ways, of course, we could look at that through the, hang on, I've just got to open my screen up a bit more so I can see better. Is the map coming through, what do you call it? So the Ukraine, we have Jupiter and Neptune, we got Neptune going through the Ukraine there, and that is really quite, oh gosh, you know, again, Neptune, you know, being the planet of, I think Neptune's on the IC, and Jupiter and Mercury are kind of on the east side of the Ukraine in this chart. Again, probably pretty hard to see there, but you know, Mercury's in Pisces. We haven't really talked about that, you know, during the equinox, and Neptune's in Pisces, Jupiter's in Pisces. Again, you know, don't believe everything you're told about what's going on there. There is a sort of let's say, a threat about some kind of chemical warfare. You know, it's quite a dangerous signature, really, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So however we can help for people to be safe. Here we have Pluto and Eris kind of meeting near the moon at the east coast of Australia. So again, the equinox has already sort of shown itself, but there's just so much repair to be done still in that area. And there are talks and people that are much more into, let's say, conspiracies about, the bushfires in Australia, or these amazing floods that were engineered. I'm not saying they were, I'm just saying what people believe, for these towns to be annihilated so that they can become the new towns, like the towns that are the template for the new way a town will work in full surveillance.
Oh,
and
interesting. Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. So when you hear that, you just go, oh my God. Again, I'm so very skeptical and sit on the fence in a way to take in both sides. I can't say yes to that, and I can't say yes to the media either.
I'm the same way there, Julia. I love, I don't, one thing I will insist on, please don't censor what I can read or learn about, because I have confidence in myself. I can discriminate, but let me hear all the sides.
Yes.
Someone just asked, I think this is relative to the Cosmic Renaissance. Can you receive recordings? You can't make it live. So everyone gets the recordings from the Renaissance, right? Our cosmic.
Oh yes, absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And we've timed it so that you've got enough time. If you can't make the live event, you'll get the recording as soon as possible, so you can watch it maybe before the next one. Right. Yeah. So, so you can kind of tune yourself. The 4 sessions that happen after my introductory session is the only one mostly necessary to do before the other 4. And the other 4 can be done in any kind of sequence. Okay. So the session that I'll be doing is like a preparation. So you really understand it in your astrology. You understand the cycle that you understand your own Jupiter and Neptune. You know what I found out as I was researching this, and I've never thought about this before. I've got Neptune in Scorpio and I've got Jupiter in Aries. So they're both Mars ruled. Oh, yes. And I've got my Mars in Pisces.
Uh-huh.
I went, okay. It really sort of makes a lot more sense about my own Jupiter-Neptune story. Right. So that's what I'm going to be bringing in for you. And Deborah, thanks, Deb, Agent 29 is online. And she, just reminded me, smart cities. So the governments are really wanting to build these smart cities. And in this destruction, the 5G towers have gone on, because Lismore has been a place for let's say, demonstrating and not wanting these harmful technologies.
Right.
It's just a bit too appropriate, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. And then we think about all the things we can't see, touch, or feel. It makes me think of the outpouring of the Aquarian energy. It's not water, it's energy, right? And so we're going through this time on the planet when we're really being critical thinkers at times about these indisputable energies.
Yeah. And now, just because we are talking about these amazing ingress points and 0 points of the sun moving into cardinal signs, this was the last ingress at the Capricorn ingress, which we did a session about, if you want to look back on it. But here it is, Pluto conjunct Venus, and opposite the moon in Cancer. How much destruction have we seen?
Absolutely.
Hey, I mean, looking back at that, it's just like, and to learn astrology, like in this light, to really sort of be more confident about saying, okay, what do we see ahead, is to look back at these things, right? To look back at this. Of course, we've got the Saturn Uranus square still going on, and that is still activated into November and all throughout 2023, even though they don't make an exact conjunction again. We had Mars on the South Node, also a very serious destructive energy with the Mars on the South Node. And here we had Ceres on the North Node. Okay, so I just wanted to sort of remind us of that. And then this is the chart of, the time that the Kiev was invaded. And we have Venus and Mars returning to 22 degrees, and especially Mars of Capricorn, which is where the great Pluto Saturn conjunction happened in 2020. So it triggered that incredible stellium that we called the Capricorn Council, the Great Reset, the Great Reseeding, or the Great, everything. And COVID, of course, set in, and the rule and dynamics behind all of that. So incredible that now this next big, huge event, on the world stage happens when Mars gets to that point again.
Absolutely. And again, I love these Sabian symbols. These are militaristic degrees, right?
Yep.
So the 22 is accepting defeat gracefully. A general reveals nobility of character. And we know from what we believe or not believe from the news reports, the Russian generals they've lost like 6 Russian generals. So this is the defeat of generals.
Yeah,
next
right.
degree is a soldier receiving 2 awards for bravery in combat. So like all of us have been little soldiers in the past 2 years getting through the COVID crisis. And we should all be brave about that because we've witnessed a historic, life-changing event. And it's all around that degree that started way back when in January 12th of 2020.
And there's another really interesting thing about that sort of timing, let's say, astrologically, is that I was talking about the Venus-Sun connections being like eclipses. Well, eclipses, of course, are eclipse points that resonate and live for the next 6 months and overlap with the next eclipse kind of season coming in. So at this timing, we had Jupiter. So the eclipse in December was at 12 degrees Sagittarius. Jupiter exactly squared that point. Okay, so we've got the Mars Venus doing their thing, and then Jupiter, and look at where Venus was during the eclipse. So she was exactly back at that spot.
Yeah, amazing.
All right. So anyway, some very interesting connections there. So, if you were picking a timing of something to be, let's say, brought out, we can kind of time it with eclipse charts as well, because they keep living. All right. And solstice charts and equinox charts, right? So let's move on. So this was also the Capricorn solstice chart that we looked at. And what we can see here is Uranus going right through Ukraine here and being squared by, let me just pick my screen up again, and being closely squared by the sun, the Black Moon, Lilith, and what else did we have around there? So in that vicinity. And also look at this, all the North Node, Ceres and Sedna going right through the east coast of Australia. Now, Sedna we don't talk about as much, but she's very much a climate crisis planet or dwarf planet. Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, I don't think she's a dwarf planet. She's something else even. She's like, because she's so far
away. Way outer planet or something. I'm not sure.
A trans-Neptunian object. But so look at that. That's quite an incredible signature that going through these. And of course, there's other places in the world. We did have landslides going through this part of Brazil. Sedna's also through there with Mars not far away and the Nodal Axis. So, like 2 places where there was huge, incredible landslides and rain on these both of those points. So pretty amazing as you follow that. Again, we've talked about the Jupiter Neptune, but I just wanted to show you this beautiful picture again. If you haven't seen it, that was painted by one of our agents in Turkey, Ayşem Aksoy. Neptune and Jupiter coming together in Pisces. Like you could just meditate on that beautiful picture.
Absolutely, it's gorgeous.
So again, check out our Time Lords magazine if you haven't got it. You can take a screen grab of that picture and, put it somewhere as well if you want. So we have talked a little bit about this chart already. So let's just keep moving. Cassandra, anything else you wanted to say about the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction coming through?
Just that I think this is just an amazing opportunity to soften and connect our hearts with universal or divine, the numinous in some ways, because the last conjunction was in Aquarius. And think how, like you mentioned earlier, of course, the inflationary period in 2009, but we have deified in so many ways technology, in the past 14 years. Is
Mm-hmm.
the rise of the social platforms, our computers, and that's a fabulous tool. But now we might be deifying more of our connection to spirit, and whatever that means to you. So
Yeah.
I think that's
Well, I
a
think also spirit represents kind of rising above, you know, resources and needs that, you know, are kind of over the top, but it also represents that as well. Do you know how hungry we are, or how much we do want? You know,
mm-hmm.
Pisces is kind of like it wants the everything.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
You know, so the two extremes of rising higher above, you know, enlightenment, spirituality, but then also the greediness and the deceit and the illusion of, that we're
Mm-hmm.
doing the right thing. So, you know, Pisces is extreme. It's an
Yes.
extreme sign, and we've got more of the extremes of weather definitely coming, because we've got Jupiter and Neptune, of course, there, which have already been really highlighting the amounts of water. But we've got Venus coming in, Mars coming in,
Mm-hmm.
and then Jupiter moving past what we call the planet, the fixed star Shiat.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen Uranus and Jupiter on Shiat causing also very destructive floods and earthquakes in the
Mm-hmm.
past.
Right.
So that area is extremely volatile as well.
Right.
For
The mutability and unpredictability of the Piscean.
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, try and do something very, very cleansing and spiritual, I think, on that day or around that time as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
we'll try and organize something. So now this is the lunar eclipse, solar and lunar eclipses coming up throughout the year. Thank you to astroseek.com if you haven't checked out their amazing website and the graphics and the charts that you can do. They've even got a Venus star cycle graphic that you can put together as well now. So it's pretty cool. But anyway, I didn't have much time to write it out myself, so I've screen grabbed that and crediting AstroSeek for this. So we've got a partial solar eclipse at 10 degrees of Taurus, a lunar eclipse in Scorpio. So again, in the polarities of Taurus and Scorpio for all this year, highlighting resources, money management, and what else?
Power manipulation and Scorpio control.
Oh, there you go.
Who's in charge? Who's in charge? Mm-hmm.
Right. And then, the second season, of course, a solar eclipse at 2 degrees of Scorpio, which is just a few days after the Venus star point. So Venus is right in there. And Mars is stationing to turn retrograde at that chart.
That's pretty cool.
And then a lunar eclipse at 15 degrees of Taurus. So for your own, astrology charts, you're looking at that polarity. And if it's kind of squaring, conjuncting, semi-squares even, or 135 squares to those points, of course, check it out there. And with eclipses, we're always looking at the cycle that happened 19 years ago, same position in the chart, and then the Saros cycle included with that. But we'll do some more detailed work on this as the eclipse season begins. Okay, so I just wanted to show the 10 degrees of Taurus eclipse coming closer to the node. So it's just a partial eclipse. It's still 12 degrees away, with Uranus in between.
Right.
So eclipses conjunct Uranus are pretty changeable and volatile and hard to predict exactly how and what is going to go on there. We have, as I was saying, Venus and Mars now very, very much in Pisces and conjunct there. Again, so really, I don't know what you do to prepare. I don't know.
I know. There's so much here.
But although Taurus and Pisces, the combination is incredibly creative. So whatever we see of destruction coming past or through or around us, there will be seeds of incredible creative sprouts.
Right. It's very fertile. It's just even
very fertile, isn't it?
The sextiles between the Pisces and the Taurus. This is an opportunistic time too.
Yeah.
Maybe start things to
Yeah.
manage our
Start
resources.
projects, or, get back to your own creative source.
Uh-huh.
We're all creative beings. We're all psychic beings. We just maybe don't really tap into it. I mean, I just recently started making jewelry again.
That's awesome.
And making silver. And it's just something I've always wanted to get back to. And a lot of people around me have just really begun amazing new creative projects. So it's like a rebuilding with inspiration. So whatever that rebuilding, the change is Uranus. The Taurus is the building, the creative craft behind what we concede at this time is so important. So let's focus on maybe those more sort of beautiful energies about what's going on here.
Exactly. We've been experiencing so much of the fearful. We've been learning how to navigate fear and another level of fear since the eclipses moved on January 18th, right? So, in fact, it was kind of interesting. That was when Ukraine was first in the news.
Right.
It pushed COVID off.
Yeah.
But Taurus's and its promise is, like you said, the creative manifestation. So I think this is a beautiful eclipse here for us to get back to our personal path of creativity.
Yes. Venus ruled eclipse. There you go. And then this one, I'm just highlighting the solar eclipses. And then this one is, as we can see, conjunct Venus. So incredibly Venusian stories going on. The Libra moon that we have at the beginning, today. Yesterday it was a few hours ago anyway.
Right.
Now we've got a Venus infused eclipse as well in Scorpio. And here we have, as I was saying before, Mars is stationing retrograde, and will start his retrograde through Gemini. Now, I remember writing about 2022 and, the year starting with the Venus retrograde and finishing with a Mars retrograde.
Yeah.
And the last time we saw that with these two planets in that area of the sky and a beginning and an end of a year was 1990. And what happened in 1990? The Soviet Union dissipated, or started to dissipate. And then, as we know, the Ukrainian independence chart is 1991. So all the the countries that the Soviet Union had gathered under its wing or control, let's say, and genocide. So it's interesting that this area of the world, because Ukraine was part of the Soviet Union, is now very, very volatile again.
Right.
So it's quite, I was just kind of going, oh my gosh, look at that, what's happening, as astrologers, when we look into research cycles, and then it's, things start happening in that same area. So anyway, but what we can say, so Venus in Capricorn retrograde began the story with, very much about who's in charge, control, power, what the governments have over us, and good ways and bad ways, what have you, implementing a new kind of value system for all of us that we've seen. And then, whatever happens through the year, Mars in Gemini is about it's about a new story.
It's about a new story. It's about a new story, and watch your words. Reissue what you've been thinking about. It's a very mental time.
So our minds are going to change very much in this year about what's possible, what's not possible, new ways of communicating. Let's just hope for truth. In the end, Mars is a warrior for higher spiritual gain if he's doing his best work. So it is about enlightenment of the mind somehow. So let's hope that will. So as Deborah's saying, the collective values changing big time. And then, therefore, they will really resonate to how and what comes next, which is Mars in Gemini, right? Retrograde in Gemini, to really change our minds and thinking and communicating about.
One of the signatures, of course, when the nodes were in Gemini, was the square of the Gemini North Node to Neptune, and all of the hooflala about censorship in the media and so forth. So when Mars goes into Gemini retrograde, I presume that we're going to have a different level, a different analysis of the media itself and the truth and what to believe.
Well, we're all fed up with the media, and have been for a long time. I just know myself during the whole COVID thing, I learned not to trust the media in my early 30s. And I sort of thought, why would I do that now? So, very careful of what we're being fed. I mean, we know it's rife with misinformation and all kinds of, propaganda still.
Absolutely. And you always follow the money, right? I mean, from what I understand.
Follow the money. That's it. That's it.
But there's like 6 conglomerates that own all the major news sources across the planet, so
and the other big signature that is really significant through this eclipse or this year is, of course, Jupiter moving in and out of Pisces into Aries, back to Pisces, and so really targeting this 0 point, right?
Yes.
So at this eclipse, it's about to move back into Pisces again, also targeting that end of Pisces area. So it's a real. I remember an astrologer telling me, so where zero Aries is where the mutable and the cardinal meet, right? So it's about moving forward, but again, after having gathered all the information.
And again, back to I love those Sabian symbols. It's the woman emerging from the sea, embracing the seal. It's like from differentiation or coming from the collective, the sea, and then becoming more the individual, but going back. So all the information is the Pisces, and then the Aries is the specific individual.
Yeah. And so look at this eclipse then. Uranus is right at the nodes. I think Uranus meets the nodes in August exactly. And, Uranus conjunct the nodes or the north node happens every 16 years, I think. So the last time Uranus was conjunct the north node was in Pisces in 2007. So we often, I also wrote an article about this. Uranus conjunct the north node has a real signature of the types of astrology that become very significant at the time, because Uranus is the modern ruler of astrology.
Yes.
And it was David Black, I can't remember his name now. Oh, and it's an American astrologer who did a lot of Mars and Venus synodic cycles. I'll put it in there. I can't remember his name. Anyway, looking back at the patterns of Uranus, so let's just say when Uranus met the North Node in Capricorn, we had the big conferences about the traditional astrology, Hellenistic astrology being gathered from the past. The three Robs, Rob Hand, Rob Schmidt, and some other Rob, really looking into, and Demetra George, what was it? They were able to translate as astrologers.
Oh, right. Project Hindsight.
So that was Uranus at the North Node in Capricorn. Then we had one in Pisces, and it was really at the time I was finishing my studies and Rick Tarnas's book Cosmos and Psyche came out, and became like a world of, astrology and intention. The CIA was born. The astrology, it's good for the world if more people can know about it, and we know what we're moving through from a personal level to a collective one. So that's really interesting. And of course, now we know, it's of course not just about August this year. It's been coming through since Uranus has been in Taurus. The big money associated with astrology, merchandise, so many people doing it as a living. As a living as well, and also as a career, becoming, something much more viable. Oh, I didn't know you could be an astrologer.
Exactly. There's been a resurgence, really, that we have seen in the past even 3 years.
Yeah. So anyway, interesting times ahead. And then, just for those that don't know much about the Venus star, there's a Venus star point every 9.5 months. And this is the pattern that it follows. So we had the last retrograde here in Capricorn. The next retrograde will be in Leo next year. But in between, we have the outer conjunction where the Venus is on the other side of the sun, like I just showed you in this. She's not retrograde. She's on the other side of the sun. And it will happen for the first time, because the star point's been happening in Scorpio for the last 100 years, is moving into Libra for the first time. The star point will then move back to the beginning of Scorpio for another 2 times. So we've got this kind of introduction. And when we think about the star point moving from Scorpio, ruled by Mars, to Venus in her own sign again, which she hasn't done for 100 years, there is a lot of hope.
A lot of hope, a lot of love and creative energy and peace.
Yes, and peace. Yeah, moving towards more peaceful times. So we often see the worst of things at the end of things. We say that, don't we? And then also there's another star point, the one that happens in Aries. It's still a little bit away, but by 2030s, it will be happening in Pisces. So then we have 2 star points in more Venus harmonized signs than Aries and Scorpio. Okay, the others that are in mid signs will still be there for quite a while. So very fascinating stuff. If you want to know more about the star point, join the CIA membership, because I've got quite a few videos there that you can learn a lot from.
Julia, I have to tell you that I learned so much about Venus star point from you way back when in at the ESAR, I think in
2016. Yeah.
I was so grateful to you because, as with any things in astrology, we get a feel for something, but then it kind of clicks in. So I clicked in. I want to thank you for that.
My pleasure. I think I've clicked on a lot of people, which is great, because it is, again, like I said, I see them as very powerful points in your own astrology chart, to see them operating through your lifetime, doing the research of going back through your whole life of Venus star points and go, oh, wow, that's when I got married. Oh, wow, that's when my dad died. Oh, my, like it just keeps informing and telling, and becomes a tool that we can use for really gathering the information of a particular year. Of course, we follow transits, eclipses, solar arcs, progressions, other things that we may do, but I find that the Venus star gathers the story, because Venus is all, she's copper, she's ruled by copper, and copper is a conductor. So she's like the kind of cosmic conductor to me, and very moony. We know the moon is very much about picking up subtle energies and telling the story, but Venus has her own way of doing it. And
let's face it, Venus makes life matter. I've heard a lot of people in the past, not astrologers, just regular pundits and journalists say, this is the year of what matters. I'm thinking, well, of course, because Venus is so highlighted as the ruler of the North Node and the Venus star point in January. So Venus makes our lives juicy. So learn about Venus.
Well, she weaves the most amazing pattern, as we know, the star and the rose. So when you think about her weaving the story of your life, the loves and the losses, it's not just all about great things. It is about the losses that we have to live with too. Venus tells that story. So well, that's about it for us. I'm just going to let's just see any kind of comments that I can share with people about all of that. Let me just see. Hang on. So good to have you. Oh no, hang on. I was going to give away a CIA membership as I promised on our email list. If you're not on our email list, and I'm just going to look through. It's good to see you here, Jeff. We need to get you back on track as an agent. How about we give it to Linda Chekala? Now, I know she's been coming to the CIA groups with Deborah and Sarah. So, Linda, I'm going to get in touch with you in regard to winning a CIA membership. And I'm going to just tell us a little bit more about that for now. For this Equinox week, we always have a sale to have 20% off this amazing membership. Now, we have gathered for the last 5 years amazing content. You know, I know some astrologers put it all out there for free and raise money for YouTube, you know, to do all these things. We need to raise money to keep our amazing archives together and keep bringing some great stuff. So really, for $12 a month, you can join now to access over 85 amazing webinars, which you can learn from and take as much time as you want to watch and watch over again. I always think, you know, there's not a lot of places that you can log into and find everything. Okay.
Exactly.
And kind of, you know, go to and find and look what we've just had some amazing stuff which is available to any member. Electional astrology with Wade Caves, and the best explanation of the house systems and what they're kind of made of by Luis Ribeiro. And then we had one on solar returns with Ona Dosa. And then what we have coming up, so as I was talking about, I will be doing the Jupiter in Neptune in Pisces, focus from a mundane perspective to a much more personal perspective in our own chart. So it's much more workshop style. That is free for our CIA members, who can then also join the Cosmic Renaissance for 20% off. And then we've got chart shapes, standouts, and interceptions with MJ. We've got the amazing Maggie Kerr from Queensland on the ascendant and the birth script. That is amazing to look into. Have you ever done work on that?
Yes.
Isn't it amazing to know your birth story, and then how the birth, and other things like what the ascendant tells you about your kind of life story,
right?
As well, then by what do you call it? Popular request. Because I wanted someone to do horary astrology class for us. I've asked Wade Caves back, who's
awesome.
a really great teacher. Then Nikki Allison, who is our herb astrologer for Time Lords magazine. She's also very much about the traditional astrology methods, but knowing a lot about illness and herbs and so on. And the decumbiture chart is like, you know, if I got sick with COVID, you know, on Tuesday at 6 p.m., when will I be, you know, good again? So it's very much about using a chart for illness. And then we've invited the incredible Israeli astrologer Michael Offek to do something on Astro Magic in July, and there's much more to come. So I don't know where you can get a better deal for wanting to do amazing astrology.
It's amazing. I know some of the students I've known and worked with for many years have been saying to me, "We're joining CIA. Well, do it now. Do it now," because.
And even if you just do it for a year and absorb as much as you can, I know, I mean, we do have a payment plan for the right people. We can't actually get you to just pay, you know, per month, because there's just too much stuff going on, right? Because some people would pay $12 and then, you know, whatever, that's it. So you have to, you know, commit to a year, but you can get in touch with me if you want to do it, you know, per month. We can set up a PayPal plan. Okay. So, and then of course this amazing Cosmic Renaissance coming up, which members will get 20% off. Really looking forward to presenting that, and it begins with me on the 30th of March and the 31st in Australia.
Yes.
All right.
And then what the videos is like making an investment forever, so you can relearn the material. A lot of times people get nervous. I mean, we've been teaching in different ways because of Zoom. We can redigest over and over. So it's great to have the videos.
Yeah, that's right. And you don't have to collect all the links yourself and make your own library. You can just go to our library.
Exactly.
So we really do appreciate all our members. Thank you so much for being here and supporting us, of course, to help keep things going. And I hope you enjoyed our session or mission today. Mission Equinox accomplished. Agent Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And stay tuned for Cassandra every Wednesday night at, is it 8 p.m. or 9 p.m.?
Let's see. It would be 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and that would be your time, 11 in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think.
Yes, that's right, because the daylight savings time is all changing and stuff like that. Lovely to see people like Rochelle online, or some of the names I don't know.
Hi, Rebecca. Hi, Lynn. Hello.
But yes, for everyone doing astrology, let's celebrate with, let's say, putting out biggest astrological messages today, and why you love astrology. That's a good
that's a
mission,
good one. That's a good mission. Everyone can go on their Facebook and say, I love astrology.
That's it. I love astrology, and why,
Yeah.
or maybe not why, just I love astrology. Put it out there, let more people know. It's not the time to sort of hide away. Look, I do remember when I started this, the CIA Cassandra, there were still many people hiding away, not knowing, not wanting to show that they were astrologers. And I just couldn't believe it, because I was always, and so the CIA was always about, come on, let's be loud and proud astrologers. Let's show that we do this. Let's show that we use this.
Right.
This is our passion. This is our guiding system.
Exactly.
It's amazing as well. Like there's just so many things astrology offers to an individual to, I don't know, let's say, find themselves, know themselves, and understand the world around you so much better.
Absolutely. It's been my passion for many decades. And I remember in the old ages, I was a little reluctant. I used to call myself a cycles counselor when I worked at the college, a cycles counselor. And that was okay, because I couldn't quite use the A word yet. But now I'm loud and proud and so happy to be part of the CIA as the Agent 56.
That's it. So anyone that wants to join us as a member, please do. Agents need to apply. You need to work for us. Well, you need to do work. Okay, you need to have missions. So if you're up for that challenge, get in touch. And happy Equinox to all of you, and be safe. Be safe and loving to each other. And we'll see you soon. Thank you again.
See you soon. Thank you.
All the best.
You,
Bye.
Bye.